Just some background to the story. I was 16 years old and lived in an old two-story house in the Netherlands, located near the forest in Farmer's Village. Now to the story. I have always been sensitive to things that happened around me. I never felt safe in my own house. As a kid, I would never play in my own room because I was too scared to be alone upstairs, and if I would go to sleep, I would sneak downstairs until my parents would go to sleep so I wouldn't have to be alone. Throughout the years, I think I have gotten used to the feeling that somebody is watching me in my own room, seeing shadows, hearing voices, or even feeling something hitting my head. Sometimes, I would confront my parents about this, and they would tell me that the house is old and the people have died in the house, and it might be their spirits. Fast forward to that night, it was a normal night for me. I went to bed and thought nothing of it until I woke up in pure panic in the middle of the night. This is where it gets weird. I remember getting up out of my bed, but I was not in control of my own body. The closest thing I can describe it is as if like you're half awake but still in that sleep state. There was a voice in my dream that told me that I have to leave.
Get out! Get out! You need to get out!
Was the only thing I heard. It is now years later and I still know exactly what that voice sounds like. The voice wasn't like my own voice. It was lower, demanding, and I could hear the fear in the voice. To give you a view of my room at the time, my door was wide open and it is always wide open because it makes me more comfortable to sleep. But in my dream, there was no door. So if I wanted to escape, I could have gone through the door but I couldn't see it, as if it was not there. On the opposite side of the door is a window that I barely opened. Back to the story. I stood up in panic knowing that I had to leave the room no matter what.
You need to leave. Hurry! You need to get out!
Were the only thoughts that rushed through my head as I was frantically touching the walls for an exit. I remember the feeling of the cold walls in search of a door, but it wasn't me who was doing it. Again, if I wanted to leave, I could have gotten through the door, but it wasn't there. My body turned around like it never had to the opposite side of the room, and now I was touching the mirror. The weird thing is that I couldn't see my own reflection, but I remember touching the cold mirror. My panic was getting worse as if someone was coming for me, and that is the only way to describe it. Then all of a sudden, I turned to the window. My thoughts changed from get out to you need to jump. I ran to the window and placed my hand through the handle.
You need to jump. Get out and jump!
Are the only thoughts that go through my head. Since I never really opened my window, it is very hard to open and it makes a loud squeaking noise when it opens. I turn the handle and the window opens, making this loud squeaking noise, so loud that I woke up. There I was, standing there with my hand on the window, ready to jump 2 stories down. I took a step back and tried to process what just happened. But since it was the middle of the night, I just went back to bed, thinking it was just a weird dream. I woke up next morning, shocked. The window was wide open and everything that was on the table by my window was scattered around the room. My mirror and wall were smudged with my handprints. The handprints were all over, and I began to remember the panic I felt during the dream. I ran downstairs to tell my parents what happened. They looked at each other in shock and asked me more about the event. They walked upstairs and see what happened to my room. That day, my dad zipped tight my window shut in case something like that will happen again. Weird things happen and still happened around that house. I currently live in America, so I don't have to deal with it. But when I go back for the holidays, I always have a weird feeling being in my old room. I am happy I woke up from the squeaking noise of the window and that I didn't jump. I think if I didn't wake up, I would have jumped for sure. The voice in my head was so strong and I had no control over my body until I woke up. To this day, my parents and I sometimes bring it up. They try to figure out why it happened or what it was. I personally have no idea what it could have been. The only thing I could think of is that it could have been an angry spirit, but I have no idea.